We have much to discuss. Today, I want us to talk about the experience with Noah. Our scripture comes from Genesis chapter 6, verse 11, starting at verse 11, and it reads thus so. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all people in the earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I'm surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make an ark for yourself of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out. Skipping down to verse 17. I'm going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish, but I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring the ark you are to bring into the ark two of every living creature, male and female, to keep them alive with you. Two of every kind of bird, every kind of animal, and every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is eaten and stored away as food for you and for them. There is much going on in the world today. As you are aware, there is much violence. The violence has not ended, and it's quite surprising that even at that particular time, in the time of Noah, that there was great violence in the land. So much great violence that God had to flood the earth for 40 days and for 40 nights because of the wickedness. Even with today, as you have noticed in the news, there has been a shooting in the state of Texas, in El Paso, as well as in the state of Ohio, by men, and not even to make mention, I forgot to mention California a few weeks ago. There was a shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. Great violence. This world, this nation is still filled with great violence. So much so that God, in this particular time of Noah, said, you know what? I'm going to do away with every single living thing. Everything that hath breath is ultimately going to cease. But because Noah remained righteous, that he was blameless among the people, that he was not part of the violence, him and his family were spared. You know, today riding down to the gym, I went to the gym, and in my own life, there has been a series of storms, and the storms have caused tremendous uncertainty as far as the outlook of my future. And so as I was driving on my way to the gym this morning, it was raining outside. But I noticed that as I approached the gym, as I was 500 feet away from the gym, I saw a rainbow in mid-air. I would say it was a quarter, not full size, but it was a quarter. But it was in mid-air. And immediately I began to speak in tongues. And for those of you who are not familiar with tongues, tongues is the unknown language that is spoken between man and God. When I say man, I mean human beings. Actually, human beings would be a better word, so that it's inclusive of both man and woman. It's the unknown language spoken from both men and women, human beings, unto God. Those who have a relationship, those who are devoted to God, have this particular language in which they speak. And so when I saw this rainbow, I began to speak in tongues, the unknown language, unto God. And I felt as though that was a major sign. Because for Noah, God had let him know, right, that he was going to flood the earth. And I'm sure that it was very difficult for Noah and his family during that 40 days and 40 nights to experience this long lasting storm that never ceased to end, or it felt like it never ceased to end. And I'm sure as they went through the storm, that they too felt, when will this storm end? And much like my situation and with my own particular storms that I'm going through, that is bringing about an end to what has been known for me, what has been considered my comfort zone. I am now in the construction of the ark, right? And in the ark is me and God. And I am waiting for the storms that seem to be long lasting to end. But the greatest thing about the storm is seeing the rainbow. What does the rainbow represent? And what did it represent for Noah? For Noah, it represented the promise, the new covenant, the new beginning with man and God. If you read down to chapter 9, it says, "Then God blessed Noah and his sons, saying to them, be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth. The fear and the dread of you will fall on all beasts of the earth and all the birds in the sky and every creature that moves along the ground and the fish in the sea, and they are given into your hands." Then he said to Noah at verse 8, "I will now establish my covenant with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature was with you, the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals, and those who came out of the ark with you. I will establish my covenant with you. Never again will all life be destroyed by the waters of the flood. Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth. And the sign that the covenant that I'm making between you and me and every living creature and all creatures is the sign of the rainbow, that I will never flood the earth again." And so that's why I began to speak in tongues at that particular time, because I knew that the promises of God were nigh, that the promises of God were close at hand, that the storm has now ended, and that transformation has begun, and that the old has now been washed away. And behold, this is a brand new day. This is a brand new time. This is a brand new season. And the transition is now permanent. But I don't want you to forget the storm and to say, wow, that was a horrible experience. For the storm brought with it the need to transition to the place where God has always intended you to be. For you to be and walk in the fullness of the destiny that God has created for you. And so that rainbow represented the promise of God that now I'm going to flood your life, not with waters, but with the abundance and the promises that I have made not only to you, but to all of your generation that is to come after you. So, in the midst of your storm, know that God has not forgotten you. And although it definitely seems long, look for your rainbow. For the rainbow is there. And when you see that rainbow, rest assured that God has not forgotten about you, that you are on the brink of a brand new day and the next chapter in your life, which is peace, blessings, and prosperity. A new, closer relationship with God. God bless you. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.